What's going on, everybody, and welcome on in to episode number 244. And that's a good number because it also shows 24. It's the last episode of 2024 of the Garage Beers podcast on a special Monday night here, as it's New Year's Eve tomorrow, and we want you to be able to go out there, have fun, hang out, do what you're going to do for New Year's Eve. And you don't have to worry about missing Garage Beers. We're doing it tonight. So we appreciate you being flexible with the time. We appreciate you being a little bit late with us, as we've got a great show coming up for you here on episode 244. We're going to talk a little bit later in the show about the Cavaliers and the Browns and the Blue Jackets and all that. We're going to talk with our special guest here in just a few minutes, Bryant Browning, a man who played in the Rose Bowl against Oregon several years ago and beat them. And we're going to preview the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Oregon Ducks, with a chance to go to the college football semifinals. We got all that and so much more. So we're glad you're here with us. Make sure you get over to the socials at the Garage Beers and hit follow. And make sure you're tuned into everything OBR. Go to theobr.com, get subscribed, and make sure you're following on the socials as well. With you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Find me online at Garage Beers Mike. And with me tonight over on the east side of Cleveland, find him online at Garage Beers Chad. It's Chad Meyer. What's up, Chad?
I currently sit one half away from claiming my first ever Michael Keefe Fantasy Football League title. Let's go.
I was just going to say, it's the only downside of us doing this tonight is that Joe isn't available on Monday nights. And obviously tomorrow was going to be New Year's, and nobody was going to be available for that.
Right.
But man, the fantasy football championship in the league that I've run for over a decade now came down to Chad and Joe. A 12-team league, and it came down to Chad and Joe, and Chad's smoking him. So
I played a little defense, and it paid off. With just a few people I'd like to thank. God, obviously. Let's start that off with it. Because without him, nothing's possible. Big ups to God. And then most of all, my trade partners, suckers, made a couple of savvy trades during the year. And here I am. Here I sit on the brink of my first ever championship. So thank you. It's been a good night. That's the episode, everyone. Goodbye. See ya.
I mean, when you look at the players in your lineup that carried you to this victory, Sam Darnold, 35 points. Puka Nacua is good, but it's been an up and downer year for Puka.
Well, injured for the first half of it.
Right? Brian Thomas, the Jacksonville receiver, who has been great this year. And maybe my favorite, Jalen McMillan.
Yeah.
23 points for you in this final round, man. You got some big contributions from some wild names that if anybody would have told you at the beginning of the fantasy football year that Sam Darnold would be your high scorer in the last game that you played of the season, you would thought you were in 12th place.
100%. And with the year he's had, he finally figured it out. Like Baker, he's finally figured it out. Got whether it's the proper coaching, it finally clicked for him. Whatever. Great job by Sam Darnold. Thank you for helping me, Sam. I owe you one.
Now you got a few $100 coming your way as soon as this ends. So shout out to Chad. Congrats. I just wish Joe could be here to kind of take his beating in the title. But hey, listen, you two made it, and that's the thing for
next year or next week.
Matters. That's what matters. So congrats to Chad. Again, sorry again about being late. I was out in the Oberlin area. And I live in Lorain County, so it's not crazy, but I was at Firelands High School tonight for a slaughter of a basketball game between Firelands and Vermilion. And I would have been here in plenty of time, but it was the freshman game and the JV game that were both like damn near overtime games, and they took forever. So the 7:00 game didn't start until 7:40, and there was the delay. So anyways, we're here. We appreciate you being flexible. And I'm excited to get into this, but we're not going to get into any of this. We got a lot of stuff to get to. It's just such a great time of the year, the college football playoffs and all that. But we can't get into any of it without cracking our beers open and sharing with you our garage beers of the week. So, Chad, while I just catch my breath here, seeing as I've been in my house now for all of about 6 minutes, while I catch my breath, why don't you lead us off? What are you drinking tonight?
This is a garage beer fridge clean out. because I just found this way back in the corner. But I have some pumpkin beer left over. This is Third Eye Brewing Company. Gourd darn it pumpkin stout.
Good darn it.
Gourd darn it pumpkin stout. These guys just won like Brewery of the Year in America. They're down there in like Dayton or the Cincinnati area, and it's a delicious pumpkin stout. You ever find yourself? It's much like a winter warmer. It just warms your loins on a cold night. And,
I can feel it.
You
I
do.
felt it.
Your loins are bubbling right now. I see it.
Oh yeah, it's my seat just got uncomfortable, but in a good way.
I know.
That was good. Yeah. All right, so you're drinking that one. Let's see here. Gregory, our buddy Gregory, I hope he's not doing any electrical work tonight. Killian's Irish Red and an ice cold Jameson for Gregory. Shout out to you.
Tori, know that mix, that like double fist, like a beer and a shot, and I love it.
Tori wants to talk about, and Tori corrects themselves, but the mayor is threatening to use the Art Modell. We're going to talk about that when we get to the Browns. We're going to start with the Buckeyes, but we're going to talk about that because I got some opinions on this whole shit that's going on with the Browns and moving and all that stuff. So fear not, we will get into that. But again, if you're having drinks with us tonight on this beautiful Monday, our final drinks of 2024 before we head into the new year, let us know what you're drinking. We'll put them up on the screen. For me, I still got some Christmas beers in the fridge, and we got the fancy bottle.
Ooh.
This is the bourbon barrel aged 12 Dogs of Christmas from Thirsty Dog. You know it's fancy because it's got the gold top to it. It's got the gold top.
Like a Vorsteiner. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We're gonna start speaking German again.
Yes.
This is very nice. It's not quite a Zima, but it's close.
Maybe it's a Smirnoff Ice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, this is the bourbon barrel aged 12 Dogs of Christmas, brought to you by Thirsty Dogs out of Akron, and that's what it looks like. And it is a delight beer. It is a delightful beer.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, our buddy Jared Turnwald, who, by the way, I want to pop this on the screen. Subscribed for 31 months in a row. Shout out to you, Jared. Familiar with Third Eye Brewing, legit, top-notch, variety of styles, awesome. Gregory's on vacation. We love that. We love that you guys are here. And again, thank you for jumping in late with us on a day that we don't normally do. We know you were here for Quincy live at 7 o'clock. We know you're here for OBR Weekly at 8 o'clock, so we love that you're here with us just after 9:30.
I came across some, those obscure, ESPN The Ocho type sports.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of electrical work, I came across the National Electrician Championship on Sports Network. And, it was wild. It was pretty wild.
Yeah. We'll be playing nothing but highlights of that from here on out on the podcast.
Oh, man, just lighten up sconces.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nothing gets the loins going like one of your drinks over there and some sconce lighting.
Found myself rooting for Roger Smith. And he lost. He fucked something up. He electrocuted himself. He's dead now. But God bless the champion. God bless the champion.
Next year, Electrician Fantasy League. We're doing it. All right, we're getting into episode 244 now. Those are our drinks. Again, you keep telling us yours. And now it's time for us to get into episode 244. And we're going to start with our special guest. He's a guy we've had on several times. He's one of our favorite special guests, especially when it comes to talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think I'm going to intro him. We interviewed him earlier today, and I think I'm going to intro him in that interview, so I'll just let that happen. But I'm going to throw it over right now to our interview with Bryant Browning, and we'll catch you right after. All right, and we are joined right now by a friend of the show, a guy we've had on several times, but also a guy really uniquely qualified to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes playing in the Rose Bowl, playing against Oregon, a guy that's really, there's not many people as uniquely qualified to talk about that situation than our guest tonight. He is a former Buckeye. He is the host with our other buddy, Chimdi Chekwa, of the Believe in Buckeyes show. It's Bryant Browning. Bryant, welcome back into the Garage Beers podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. We always have a blast, so pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. Listen, it feels like this year we're going to get a late Christmas present. A little late Christmas gift is we're going to get to watch, well, like I said, something that you know a little bit something about is the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks are going to face off New Year's Day, 5 o'clock. We are right around the corner. Bryant, before we get to that, though, I want to take it back a little bit, and then I want to take it back a lot of bit, and then we'll talk about this game. But let's start with, how much fun it was to see and I want to hear your thoughts on this as a guy that ran out of that tunnel at Ohio Stadium a lot of times, to see a night game, college football playoff night game, Buckeyes, Tennessee at the Shoe, man. I thought I never ran out of that tunnel at Ohio Stadium. You did. I thought it was so cool to see. I thought seeing those games on those home campuses was awesome. What'd you think? What'd you think of that atmosphere of that home playoff game?
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, obviously, college football stepped in and they did some things and we kind of spoofed up the stadium a little bit, right, with the drones and some of the light shows and things of that nature. And that was always good. I know the new AD, Ross, has been talking about, livening up the home game experience. You're starting to see, light shows and things like that going on in the SEC. And so they kind of want to compete with that. And I'm all for it. Whatever just makes that experience a little bit better, whatever keeps our crowd loud and enthused in the game and things of that nature. I'm all for those things. But it was cool, man, right? It's a playoff game. People have been, in general, talking the hypotheticals about, getting those SEC schools to come up north and play in some of these cold weather games when it really means the most, right? And going down in the history books, right? Who win those type of games. And we finally had a chance to see that, right? We got Tennessee coming up north, and everybody heard all the buzz about Tennessee's going to take over the stadium. The guys before the game, the volunteers that ran around with their shirts off doing their warm-ups. Trying to show they're not bothered by the cold. And essentially at the start of the game, none of that mattered because Ohio State took it right to them. The stands didn't matter. The shirts off, they could care less. They kind of went out there and took it right to them. And we jumped on them from the start. And one thing I wanted to say is I heard a quote after the game from Tyleek Williams, our D tackle, was saying, like, when they came out for warm-ups, it was enough Tennessee fans that they actually heard booing, right? They heard booing coming out for their warm-ups. It's like that never happened before. So yeah, we was a little bit extra pissed off going into this game to really take it to them, and it showed on the field for sure.
That was, Bryant, and honestly, that was the most pissed off, intense Buckeye team I think I've seen of the last 4 years. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I just feel like there was the chip on their shoulder that they played with was the size of the shoe, man. I don't know. It was a different level, even from the Georgia game last year. I mean, what do you think?
No, I completely agree. I think obviously our last game, right? I mean, obviously we've been losing the Michigan game. Like, I mean, there's no hiding that. We've been losing that game.
Yeah.
Last year, right or wrong, but Michigan did have a pretty strong team. We was on the road, and we still had a chance of winning. We lose. This year, we're much better. No one will argue that we're a much better team. We go out and we get embarrassed, right? I mean, to be frank, we really go out there, we lay an egg, we get embarrassed, and obviously, whenever we lose a game, wherever in the game is close, everyone is like, fire Coach Day, right? But this game really showed that he has the pulse of his team. That the team has his back, that when he's angry, he's upset, he's disappointed in his performance, in a way he kind of assisted in calling that Michigan game, that the guys could go out there, fight for him, right the ship in a way, and go out there and really take it to a team and play essentially their best game all season when you look at all three phases of the ball, and really went out there and took some of that hurt, that pain that they was feeling, and they pass it on to some of that volunteer team and their fan base to let them know, like, hey, we a capable bunch, and they went out and showed for sure.
Man, you brought it up, and I like listening to you and Chimdy talk because you bring obviously the player's perspective, but you guys are both pretty level-headed and thoughtful guys when you talk about things too, which doesn't happen a lot after losing 4 times in a row to Michigan. But realistically, without getting into like who's getting fired and who are we getting rid of here or whatever, but realistically, how big was that win? How big was that win for Ryan Day, the coaching staff, the players? Because 4 in a row to Michigan, it puts you in a really low spot.
Yeah.
So how big was that for Ryan Day?
I think it meant a lot. I mean, like I say, I feel like, when you're a coach, obviously, we're not the head coach of Ohio State, but whenever you're a coach, you want your team to know that you care for them and for them to care for you, right? I mean, right, and vice versa, right? You don't want it to be a one-way street, and who cares, and you don't want your players in a entitlement position where what's best for me, what's best, if this not helping me out, I'm not really doing it, right? So obviously, Coach Day is in a low spot, right? He can't figure out that game. Coach Day does a great job of always saying the right things. I think he's a very transparent coach, and when it comes to his relations and speaking to the media about his thoughts and feelings about going forward, and he said all the right things leading up to this one. Obviously, but when they played, now all of a sudden this don't look like a Ohio State team, right? We look like I don't know, it looked like another team when we went out there and performed. So he's in a low spot, but to see that his guys had his back, go out there, play well against Tennessee. Before the game, we're the better team, right? We was a better team than Tennessee, right? Tennessee is a good team. They did some things well. You almost could say they're really similar to Michigan and how they approach the game and how they go about playing. But then essentially we got the game plan right this time, right?
Yes.
Let's not keep butting our head against the wall. Just get the ball to some of our guys, stretch things out, get a lead, and then kind of play from there. And I think, he learned. He took the right approach to this Tennessee game. They stretched it out, and obviously, once they get their horses going, it's tough to keep up with us for sure.
Well, why does that now? Why that's just so confusing to me, Brian? Like, because
we all know what he wants to say here. We all know what he wants to say here.
Right.
I don't know. It's you haven't had the right game plan for your most important game of your regular season for the last 4 years, but you're able to take it up a notch in the postseason. I can't figure it out. Can you provide some logic to that?
No, all I will say is that, sometimes getting ready for the team up north or any rivalry in general, it gets tricky, right? And it gets tricky in the fact that, everyone to come in and say, you got to throw out the records. What you did before this game doesn't matter. And what you do after this game matters somewhat, but it's really all about this game, right? And then you just start kind of, in my head, maybe pinpointing on certain things you want to do. And I think Coach Day going into the Michigan game had a really set plan on how he wanted to beat Michigan. Like, okay, we should win. We should win this way, right? And I really want to win the rushing battle, so I'm going to run the ball this way. And
great.
Overall, that's not the team he has, right? In the way he was kind of going about preparing for it, and it really showed, right? And obviously, I think it was a little bit more there to the Will Howard situation. Maybe they was caught themselves trying to protect him of some sorts because they seen he had made a couple bad plays. But in my opinion, he got you this far. He's been making great decisions all season. Let the kid go out there, rip it. If he throw 4 or 5 interceptions and we lose, then we say, all right, Will Howard lost the game.
Yes.
But to throw 2 and to really run that style of offense for the rest of the day, it would have been my approach.
Yeah. Well, because it's not just taking the ball out of Will Howard's hands, it's taking the ball away from your biggest threats. Yeah. Not to take anything away from Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. We've watched Jeremiah Smith out there, right?
Yeah,
we've watched Ibuka for years.
Yeah,
we've watched these dudes out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to take it out of Will Howard's hands is also to take it out of their hands, and that's a problem. That's a problem. You have, like I was screaming watching the game, going, you got to be okay with being a wide receiver team. Like you don't have to win this game in the trenches.
Yeah.
Get that ball out there to those dudes and let them do what they do, and that's what they did against Tennessee, and it was beautiful.
Right. It was beautiful. All of a sudden, we could run the ball. And our defense been pretty good. Like, obviously, our defense didn't lose the Michigan game. And all of a sudden, everything looks right. Everything looks well. The score on the scoreboard looks good. And, we could go on and feel proud about our Buckeyes for another week.
So I told you we were going to take it back and then take it way back because looking ahead a little bit, like I said, New Year's Day, 5 p.m., Rose Bowl, Ohio State, Oregon. It was your junior year, Bryant, and you were a 3-year starter there for the Buckeyes on that offensive line. You got your jersey back there. Is that your Fiesta Bowl one back there?
What is that? Yep, that's a national championship game that we lost. Yeah.
That's right. Don't want to bring that up. No. But that was your first year. That was your
yeah. That's my first year. That's yep.
That was LSU.
First year was Florida.
Was it Florida? Oh
yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So your junior year, great year. I think you might still be, although that may change over time. But I think that team may be still the only team that's beaten 5 10-win football teams in one season in college football. You guys were awesome. You had the one downfall game to Purdue, and you find yourself in the Rose Bowl up against Oregon in the last game of the season, and you guys took care of business. So just talk about, I think one thing that people are a little bit concerned about, I think everybody knows Ohio State fans are going to fill any stadium they go to. But I think people are a little concerned about taking on Oregon, West Coast. It's not as long of a trip for them to get down to Pasadena. I keep hearing a lot of people talking like it's going to be some kind of home game for Oregon. I feel like I don't think it's going to be that way. Did you notice that when you played Oregon in the Rose Bowl?
No. I as always, our Buckeyes travel well. When we played in the Rose Bowl, I can't remember, but it had been a while since we had made it to a Rose Bowl game, so the fans was very anxious to be there. Obviously, throughout my tenure, we went to a couple of national championships, and just so happened they wasn't at the Rose Bowl those seasons. So us not being in a national championship, being Big Ten champs, got us to the Rose Bowl. So we was very happy and proud of that. And at that time, we had lost a lot of games in a row. Like I said, we lost to LSU in the national championship 2 years ago. The year prior, we had lost to Texas in the Fiesta Bowl. And the year before that, when I was a true freshman, because I redshirt, I did 5 years. I was a true freshman. We lost to Florida in the national championship. So we was at a skid here. So basically, since I've been in school, we never won the bowl game. We're in a skid here. We're losing, this game, and you know how it is. You start losing games to can Chester win the big one. All that kind of to start coming in, and obviously the Oregon was led by Chip Kelly, who's now our offensive coordinator, right? Very fast offense, and they scored a lot of points. They scored a lot of points. They was able to, get the ball snapped very quickly. They spread you out. They run the ball still while they spread you out, and they kind of hit you on certain things, and that's how they ran their offense at the time. Defensively, we felt pretty good about going into that game. They had some, I want to say this. They had big guys, but they wasn't the heaviest of guys. I feel like that. They had long, tall, lean guys up front, so we felt like we could kind of win some matchups there. On the back end, it had some speed, some talent, but once again, we're Ohio State, right? We felt like we could be physical and we could kind of take it to them and we could win that game. So we kind of had some packages on our back. I'll never forget that when we first traveled out there, obviously we all hear we say don't watch the news, but we all hear what's going on in the news. Ohio State won a big one. We on the skid, and we had a very intense practices in California. Let's put it like that. Yeah. Defense was always fired up. They always silver bullets, right? They always kind of go out there and expect to be winning and dominant. And then our offense at the time, we led by Terrell Pryor, true freshman quarterback, bowl game, and we have this is second year. I'm sorry, but younger quarterback, and we got a lot to prove. And our practice was intense. I mean, we're out there, we're sweating, we're fighting, we're running, we're doing all the things to kind of get ready for this game. And then we get out there in the game. We're in the Rose Bowl. We play well. I think we get a lead early. Oregon battles back in the game. And the fourth quarter's kind of tight. We make a couple plays. We go on and win that game. And it was a sigh of relief at that time. Chip off our back. We won a bowl game. We could play with the top teams of the nation, all that kind of stuff. But it's always special, just Ohio State and that history being in a Rose Bowl and, the classic Big Ten versus the Pac-10 at the time, Pac-10 matchup, and going out there to California, performing and coming out, as the Rose Bowl champion and winning that game. So it was a huge, huge moment, a moment I'll never forget, obviously, when I was talking about my playing career.
It's got to be, from a fan's perspective, right? We talk about the Rose Bowl with such, reverence and, the granddaddy of them all, right?
Yeah.
But Bryant, man, you talk about 5 years at Ohio State. You were a part of 2 national championships. You were a part of the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl, which still counts. Does it have that feel to the players and you guys there where it's like something just a little different about the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, this is the history of it, man. You got the clips of the players after you beat Michigan, right? You got to beat Michigan first, right? Usually, if you lose to Michigan, there's no Rose Bowl, right? So after you beat Michigan, you got the clips of the guys, with the roses in their mouth. They start handing out the roses, and the guys, and I feel like that year was I'm trying to figure out where we played Michigan at. Yeah, we played Michigan at Michigan. So once we won, we got to celebrate with our friends on their field. We didn't try to plant a flag. We wasn't, we was much more respectable winners at that time. We just celebrated with our team. We had our roses in our mouth and things of that nature. So you always, when you go to college, right, you only get that short window, right? And you only, and there's only a certain amount of things you can try to get done that time. You could be a Big Ten champion. You could beat Michigan. You could be a national champion. And obviously, like I said, we fell short of our national championship hopes, but we did maintain. We took care of business against Michigan. We was Big Ten champs. And so, back then it kind of fluttered, right? Like I said, it fluttered when you landed. You can have a great season, but it still doesn't get you to the Rose Bowl.
Right.
Because, just due to, how good your season was or how, how the Bulls kind of sorted out. But that was our opportunity there. We got one opportunity to go to California in my college career to play. We're playing the Oregon Ducks team. We took care of business. And, like I said, it's a moment we'll never forget.
So let's get into this game coming up, New Year's Day, 5 p.m. It's the rematch. It's a big rematch, Bryant. I mean, first game, first matchup in Eugene, a 1-point loss to the Ducks in a game where that receiving core gave this secondary all kind of fits. And Dylan Gabriel was elite in that game. What are some things? I mean, obviously he's a threat to run or pass. What are some things that the Buckeyes can do differently in this game to really get Dylan Gabriel off his spot? Because I feel like once he got to his spot, he was just
was just there, right? Be frank, it's tough to do, right? I mean, Oregon does a great job at keeping Dylan Gabriel comfortable. The way they go about calling plays, their run game, and so when they actually call passes, how they do a good job at moving the pocket around and doing things, moving the marks, and they do a lot of things once again just to keep them clean. I watched the Penn State game, and obviously Penn State can rush the passer. They have Robinson off the edge in the Big Ten championship, and they couldn't get to the quarterback either, right? They had some other good guys up front, but I think kind of to your point, it's like we have to figure out a way to affect him. And I think a couple of things we could do is obviously when we played Oregon, we was out of sync as a defense. I mean, it was as clear as day. Like we was trying to do some things that didn't work out. It looked like at certain times, different phases of the defense was doing certain different things. Even certain times it looked like our defensive line didn't rush at all because there's a blitz coming. And like no one knew what was going on, right? We have a bye week. Coach Day steps into the defensive room and feel like they got things figured out. And since then, they've been playing pretty well overall as a unit. So first off, just be sound. Get lined up. Know what you need to be doing. Understand your assignment. And first off, let's check that box, this in a couple of days here when we play Oregon. And then from there, I think the best way is when we have those opportunities, we win first and second down, and we have opportunity to apply exotic pressure. You go, you fire, you go, you try to get them down. But another thing is in those situations, we know Oregon most likely we're gonna force them to get the ball out their hands. I want to see our defensive line with our hands up. Maybe some of our guys in the middle, reading eyes, reading lanes, and understand that Dylan Gabriel. One thing we can say, Dylan Gabriel was a shorter guy, right? Especially when it comes to the quarterback position. That get our hands up and try to get in some of those passing lanes and knock some balls down to kind of just mess with his confidence as a quarterback to make him think a little bit more. I think that's one way we could definitely do it because who knows, right? Like I say, all season he's been pretty elusive. But one thing we know for sure is that we maybe our guys up front, if you're not necessarily in a primary rush, try to read a lane, read the eyes. The ball's going to come out quick and maybe get a back down or 2 or 3 there. And I think that really will affect his play and affect the way Oregon goes about calling a game because no matter what, during the game, he's not going to get taller.
Jack Sawyer has been great at that lately.
Yeah. He's been getting 2 hands on a lot of balls lately, right? And obviously, he made a play that should have been historical in the Michigan game, man. We lived with that.
We did the same, and then we just gave him the same play. I think a lot of the concern here. We talked about the silver bullets, and really, they have been this season. Mm-hmm. And Chad said it. They played with an extra chip, but this is the only time they gave up more than 20 points this season was in that Oregon game. They gave up 32. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they haven't allowed one other team this whole season to score 20 points. And that is pretty impressive because they're a good offensive team. And it does feel like the better offensively you are, the more likely you are to maybe give up some points now and then because the defense has to be on the field a lot more. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously that's a concern. But from your perspective, player perspective, Bryant, talk about the fact that the game isn't in Oregon. we talk a lot about home field advantages, and I don't know that there's anywhere that a home field advantage is more evident than in college football, where these places are just crazy, and it's got to be intimidating and tough to go in at night in Eugene and play Oregon, and they're salivating over playing Ohio State, their first Big Ten game, and there was just so much on the line for them in that game that the Buckeyes, it felt like they were just the team, whichever team was going to have the ball last was going to win, right? The Buckeyes were leading the majority of that game. They just could never get that stop. They gave up 500 yards of offense, 155 on the ground, 350 to Gabriel. So talk about maybe just the difference that it could make. Talking about chips on shoulders, the Buckeyes already lost that game against Oregon, but also B, now we're not at Oregon anymore. We're on a neutral site, and it'll be very much more of a 50-50 situation.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so kind of a lot to unpack there, right? But I guess first off, looking at where we're playing in California. So essentially, they have to open it up at least, right, for an equal amount of Ohio State fans and Oregon fans to buy tickets. And I think we'll do well. I mean, I'm not going to say we probably won't have a majority, but I'll be surprised if it was more of a 60-40 ratio. And I think that's fair enough just due to the, amount of space a lot of our guys going to have to travel, really, our fans to travel to have to get there. So I don't think that'll be a factor. But, like you say, home games and college football matters a lot. Look at the first round of the playoffs. All the home teams won.
Yep.
They all won comfortably, and it was just a electric atmosphere, and that's the way the games went, right? Round one of the playoffs. So now that we're here, we at a technically a neutral site. I would imagine Oregon will be do a better job at filling the stadium than us. Maybe we'll see. But I would say that the game is huge, right? When you're looking at the Big Ten and the landscape of things and how things are going to shape out here in the future. Ohio State now is in a spot, ever since really since Urban Meyer, where we recruit nationally, right? We want the best guys in the nation to come to Ohio State and play football. Oregon's in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of high school players in Oregon in general that are really, I believe, on the team right now. So they're in the same boat where they recruit nationally when it comes to trying to secure their team in the future. And obviously NIL plays a part. They have Nikes there and and their donors, and Ohio State, they have donors as well, right? And they're putting money towards their team. So it's like, in my mind here, the landscape of the Big Ten is really always in balance here. And I think that win for Oregon early was huge for them, right? And showing, hey, we're in the Big Ten now. We can hang with the big guys. We just beat Ohio State here on the road. I think even the coach, Dan Lanning, said at the last thing he said at his press conference when the game ended, is like, hey, if you see any good players out there, tell them to come to Oregon. And, he said it was a joke, but it wasn't funny to me at the time.
Yeah.
Because they already got a few Ohio guys, right? They got in the recruiting class, they got a couple of a corner and a DB and a safety, essentially Ohio kids. Parents or legacy at Ohio State commit to Oregon. And then obviously right at the deadline, we had a corner, Naeem Alford out of Alabama, committed to Ohio basically since last summer. They're signing that he flips and goes to Oregon. And we're losing guys now, right? Now we can actively say that these are guys we wanted. One guy was committed, the other guys we were recruiting heavily. But when the decision time came, they decided to go to Oregon. So the game matters a lot to me if for that purpose as well, as really kind of, understanding the power dynamics of the conference, who is the big dog of the conference. That's online here on the first as well. And Ohio State kind of, doing something to kind of right that ship, because right now Oregon's on a high horse, and rightfully so. They're on a high horse, and we need to do something to kind of, like I say, get things going back in our direction.
Now, I got two more questions for you, Bryant. First one, that again, going back to that, first matchup in Eugene, Jordan Birch, their best pass rusher, was not a part of that game.
Yeah.
And when he is in the game, he is a problem. Mm-hmm. Is he one of those guys that you can neutralize, or is he one of those guys that's just going to kind of get his, and you just kind of have to you have to make the plays when you can?
Yeah, no. I'm not going to say he could be neutralized because he's a very good player. And our offensive line, as we know, has had several injuries. If he was our best unit, I would say, yeah, we can neutralize him. But, with our backups in, he may make a play or two or three. But we can't let that affect the game, right? I mean, it could have been Burch making that play. It could have been someone else on the Oregon defense They're going to make some plays. We have to understand that we're not going to go out there and everything goes perfect and we win 42-17. The game is not going to be that. You have to understand that, and I feel like the coaches and players will have to have that mindset as well. That hey, they're going to make some plays, but it's not going to be the last play. We pick ourselves up. We understand what we did wrong. Don't get beat the same way twice. And we go out there and continue to execute and win that game. This game is going to come down to execution, right? I mean, two good teams, execution, who doesn't make the mistakes and, turnovers or mental errors and things of that nature. That's what this game is going to come down to. And I felt like the first time we played them, we saw the mental errors, right? We saw the mental errors that was loud and clear. We're looking at our defensive backs, the fumble we had early that really put them in the game and how we ended the game. Where I'm not going to say it was a mistake, but, one more second, we get an opportunity, to potentially win that game when it comes to Will Howard in the slide. So that's what the game is about. You have to understand it. We're playing a good team. They're not going to lay down. So be prepared. It'll be 4 quarters, maybe overtime. Know that it's going to take, a full unit, Ohio State versus the Ducks. Everybody all in to get the job done.
Burch has 10 sacks, we win 52-3. Burch has 10 sacks, we win 52-3.
Yeah, I know you got one more, but you just brought up something, and I think it was like the untalked about part of the game. Everybody talked about that Will Howard slide at the end, but you went toe-to-toe with Oregon in Oregon, the number 1 team in the country now, and they have been ever since. They do whatever they want to offense. Like everything went really well for Oregon, and yet they win by 1 in a game where Ohio State had 2 lost fumbles and Oregon had 0 turnovers.
Right.
So what you just said is exactly it, man. If you can take the ball away from them a couple times and play clean football, you saw it. You went on the road and you still should have had a chance to win that game, even with those mistakes. So if they can clean it up, Ohio State, I mean, this should be an awesome game. Chad, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. No, I mean, lastly, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on how the 12-team playoff format went so far. I mean, I know a lot's been made on, as far as the seeding, as far as these first-round games go. Obviously, there's going to be some better games coming up here in the quarterfinals. Just wanted to see what your thought of the format was so far. Obviously, it's only the first year, and they can tweak it. But, a lot's been, were we sure 8 hasn't been enough? Were we sure 4 wasn't the solution? I just wanted your thoughts and why they're wrong. Why the other people are wrong?
Before the season started, when they first announced, I'll say before the season, when they announced that it was going to be a 12-team playoffs, I didn't like it. I just think they're playing too many games, right? It's just a lot of games they have to play now to be a national champion. And also, we know the end game is to get on to everyone's end game is to get to the NFL, right? That's where you have that opportunity to make the that life-changing opportunity when it comes to funds. So I didn't like it, but I would say this: watching it's been fun. I think they did get the 12 teams right. There's a lot of comparison on if they basically what it come down with should they put Alabama in the playoffs or not? They had 3 losses. They lost to bad teams. And I feel like the committee was consistent that if you lost to a bad team, we're going to hurt you more than if you, play the good teams and lost. And I think that came out right in the seeding. Obviously, we played Penn State. We beat Penn State. But we lose to a bad Michigan team where they don't have a bad loss. Their losses to Ohio State and to Oregon. So they're ahead of Ohio State when it comes to the rankings. And to me, that made sense. I could maybe argue a little bit about reseeding. If Oregon's the number 1 team, you probably want Penn State's path to the national championship compared to, the path that they have to go on. But no matter what, you got to play good teams if you're going to be a national champion. Yeah. And I think that's fair enough. So my only gripe is they need to figure out a way. They need to let go of that Big Ten championship game. And not Big Ten, all championship game. Let go of the conference championship game.
Yeah.
Figure out how to get the season down to 10 games, in my opinion. And then you go on to the playoffs from there, and that's my take.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think my whole thing is I would much rather watch Notre Dame and Indiana play in a meaningful game than have them play in the Gator Bowl and have 80 kids opt out. And like, I would much rather do that. But yeah, I totally.
100% with you, Brian, and they're never going to let this happen because it makes too much money. But the conference championships, if you're screaming about the regular season meaning more, then really it's the conference championship games. Crown your conference champion based on what happened in those 10 regular season games, and then let's get into the playoffs and find ourselves a champion. I think that's an awesome solution. I also know there's a lot of people that make a lot of money on that.
That's true.
All right, last question for you before we let you out of here, Brian Browning. Again, we talked about it, 5 o'clock, Rose Bowl, New Year's Day, Ohio State, Oregon rematch. How do you have this one playing out? What's your prediction?
I think Ohio State wins. I think we get the job done. I think we learned a lot. We're a hungry team. We still fired up off our last game. And I like the fact that we played about 10 days ago, where Oregon hasn't played in about a month. So I'm expecting maybe to come out a little bit rusty and things of that nature before it. I'm going to throw a score on it. I like us 34-24.
Let's
I
go.
think we win the game. I think we figure out a way to overwhelm Dylan Gabriel when we get the job done. And we start to right that ship to let Oregon know, who runs the Big Ten Conference.
Yeah.
And we'll get better for Michigan next year.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh. I'm not even Catholic.
Man, Brian Browning, it's been a blast. Go check him out again on Twitter. His handle right there on the screen, @BR_Browning. Check out the Believe in Buckeyes show that you do with Chimdy Chekwa. Follow Chimdy while you're at it. But, Brian, always good talking Ohio State football with you. And, man, again, not many guests we could have on the show that have the kind of experience that you have. You did Ohio State and Oregon in the Rose Bowl, and we got it coming up this week. Thank you so much for breaking it all down with us, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Same to you, my man.
How about Bryant Browning talking Ohio State, Oregon, Rose Bowl, the playoffs, the situation, all that, man. Would love having him on. Love that dude. As he and Chimdy do a great job with the Believe in Buckeyes show there. You'll catch him. I love when I'm out at like a bar and I see Bryant and Chimdy on a TV at like the Winking Lizard or something. So you can catch them all over the place. But big shout out to Bryant. Make sure you go follow him. As again, I love that and shout out to you, Chad, for getting Bryant with us this week. I love that we were able to talk to him as a guy that's been a part of this. Not in the playoffs, not like this, but he's played Oregon in the Rose Bowl. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to have that insight into this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really awesome. And yeah, I mean, you could, and it doesn't matter what time, by the way, like wherever you go at a bar, it could be like, 1:37 in the afternoon or like 7:35 at night or 8 in the morning at having brunch. Those guys seem to be everywhere. It was great to hear someone from experience playing Oregon, playing in the Rose Bowl, playing in big games. I mean, I think that's important anytime you can get that type of perspective. He seems pretty confident in the Buckeyes, and I got to tell you, so am I.
Well, we're going to get your thoughts in a minute, but before we get your thoughts, let's run through, first of all, the comments. I've been watching the comments the whole time. Do not get me wrong. We are getting into the Browns. You guys have been going. I got about 10 topics I want to talk about with the Browns tonight, and none of it includes the goddamn team on the field, by the way. But there's a lot of other stuff. We're going to get to that. But, Chad, let's really quickly, before we wrap up things on college football, let's go through these games that are happening, and let's do a couple quick predictions on the college football playoff quarterfinals. Sure. Because the games start tomorrow night.
Right.
Tuesday night, New Year's Eve, 7:30 p.m. All the talk has been about Penn State's, basically their path to the semifinals. Well, they got through part one when they had SMU come in and they just blew the doors off of them at Penn State. And now they've got Boise State. Boise's had a great season. Boise's got the Heisman Trophy runner-up. But it's Penn State. It's Boise State. It is the Fiesta Bowl that's going to be happening out there in Arizona. Chad, how do you feel about this game?
Listen, Boise State, the program, even though it's a different coach now and Chris Peterson's long gone, but this is a program that's no stranger to any big moments. I mean, who can forget the Statue of Liberty play?
Right, in the Fiesta Bowl.
In the Fiesta Bowl. It's always an intriguing matchup anytime you get a team in the playoff that's not from, a Power 5 conference and they just dominated their conference. and dominated everybody that on their schedule pretty much. You know, I think they're going to be able to run the ball all over Penn State. You know, I think Ashton Genty's going to be able to put up a bunch of numbers. He's even going to get a couple of touchdowns. I think the story of this game right now is how is this Boise State defense going to stack up against Penn State's offense? It's not an electric Penn State offense,
right?
By any means at all. So I mean, I guess if you just stop Tyler Warren, is that weird? If you could just stop a fullback, H-back,
tight end, something, whatever he is,
back, hybrid, whatever the hell he is, it seems like he's the focal point of that offense. Now, I do think this Penn State defense is going to be able to make enough plays to be able to put Penn State in position. But this, to me, this has all the makings of like a 28-26 Penn State win. I don't think this is going to be a blowout at all. I think Boise's going to put up a much better showing than SMU did, and I think it's a close Penn State win.
I agree with you on this. So few teams are built around a running back like Genty, right? So few teams are built that way anymore. And Boise is, and they're really good at it. I just don't know if they're going to be able to out-physical the Penn State. The Penn State defense has been really good all season. The reason Penn State is in this playoffs and the reason they've won a playoff game is that defense has been unbelievable. And you have to think that even though I hate James Franklin for what he does with quarterbacks, he's really good defensively. And you got to think that their entire practice has been, hey, why don't we just focus on this guy and make them beat us through the air?
Yeah.
Like if Penn State comes into this game and they don't have their cornerbacks on an island all game long, they should.
Yeah.
They should be stacking that box, getting ready for the wide zones, getting ready for everything Genty's going to bring at them. And you know what? If Boise's quarterback can drop back and just drop the ball into buckets and beat guys one-on-one, more power to him. But Boise, to me, is just a little bit too one-dimensional. And even though they're really great at that dimension, I'm not sure that it's going to get them past Penn State, so I'm with you. I think it's going to be close because I think Boise can I think this is a game you could see Boise kind of punch them in the mouth early.
Sure.
But I think Penn State will control it in the end, and I think it's going to be a Penn State win.
Yeah, it's going to be the toughest test to date, but I mean, I forget the quarterback. His quarterback's name is like Madden, Maddox.
Well, they played Oregon, so not officially their toughest test today. But
okay, yeah. Well, but I mean, even that was close for a while there.
It was it was a close game all the way through.
He is very capable of making plays through the air. It's just can he? That's it.
I think Oregon's much more susceptible to the run, and I don't think Penn State is. And I think that crushes Boise. But we'll find out. Next game, the Peach Bowl. By the way, can we talk about this? Did I miss this? When did the change happen?
When Peach Bowl become so important?
Yeah, when did the Orange Bowl just not exist?
It does exist, but it's like at 3:00 on December 30th usually now.
Was that not one of the 4 BCS games? It was the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, and the Rose Bowl, right?
Every year it was. I don't know. Maybe Chick-fil-A put up a bunch of dough.
What happened?
The major bowl. I think that it's very well a possibility. But yeah,
I don't like it
when the changeover happened.
I don't like it, and you can't even say it's because of the stadium. It's not like Hard Rock Stadium in Miami hosts everything.
Right.
It's weird.
Everything.
Anyways, we got the Peach Bowl, which I don't like, and we've got. To me, in my opinion, well, we'll find out. I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'll go. We got Texas coming off that win at home against Clemson, against the Arizona State Sun Devils. Again, what we'll talk about with them the whole time is the team that was picked to finish last in their conference. They win the conference, and they get a bye, and now they get to play Texas. How do you see this game going?
Look, Arizona State is playing with house money here. There's nothing more dangerous than a team with nothing to lose. And by God, I love Cam Scatterbo. I love him so much. I love the way the guy plays the game. He's just a hard-nosed kid. He's like a hybrid CMC and I don't know, nails and like lug.
Yeah.
I don't know what that kid is made of, but I love him. I think I forget his name, but the really good receiver from Arizona State too. I think that is a pretty good quarterback as well. But I think if that receiver is playing, so they don't make themselves that one-dimensional, I think they can make it interesting. But that front seven of Texas is just so damn good. I don't know how much they're going to be able to move the football on Texas. Quinn Ewers He can throw a couple of picks in this game. He can turn the ball over. I think that is Arizona State's biggest chances. If they can force Ewers into a couple of turnovers, give themselves some short fields, and control the football, I think they're going to be able to give themselves a chance. It's just a matter of can they? I don't think so. I think Texas wins this one as well. I like this. I actually kind of like the score of the Clemson game for this game, like a 38-24 type of game.
I think my opinion on this game is I think it has a chance to be the biggest blowout in the whole playoffs. I love what Arizona State did this year, and for all the reasons you talked about, I just think Texas is much better. I think Clemson was a much better matchup for Texas than Arizona State is, meaning a much tougher matchup for them. And I think if there's one team that's going to – you heard Bryant Browning talk about it, and we will talk about it in a minute, but you talked about this month off that these teams have had, basically, that are the bye week teams. I think if there's one team that's going to get hurt by it the most, I think it is Arizona State. I don't think they're going to be ready for what Texas is going to bring at them, and I think Texas is going to dominate this game.
Yeah, I could totally see that too. I just love something about a team with just nothing to lose, because if they do get blown out, nobody's going to be surprised by it.
Oh, it's you're still congratulating everything Arizona State did, and you should.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, so that takes us to, I think, one of the two most intriguing games of the weekend, and that's the Sugar Bowl. And that is the last game that's going to happen Wednesday on New Year's Day. That's the night game in New Orleans, the Sugar Bowl, the Georgia Bulldogs, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I think this game is super intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, strictly because you have no idea what you're going to get from Gunnar Stockton.
Right.
You have no idea. I mean, so that to me, that's.
I'm not sure, even if it wasn't him, even if what's-his-face was playing in this game, I think it's still.
Yeah, I don't know. Both of these teams play well. I think Notre Dame plays better defense than Georgia does.
Yes.
Riley Leonard is going to be the biggest key for Notre Dame.
Yes.
He's got to play better than he did against Indiana, because, yes, Georgia's defense isn't as good as it has been in years past, but if he plays like he did against Indiana, I think Georgia wins this one. But if Riley Leonard can step his game up, I think this is the most susceptible Georgia team in the last probably 5 years. And I think Riley Leonard and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I think they can take this. I think they can win this football game, and I think they're going to. Give me like 27-24 Notre Dame.
This is the most boring podcast segment of all time, because I'm not disagreeing. I don't disagree with you on anything. I think this is the Notre Dame win. I think this is like the best Notre Dame. Notre Dame has had some bullshit good teams over the years. I always harken back to what year was that? 2012, 2013, whatever it was, where they played Alabama for the national title. That was the most bullshit good Notre Dame team. They weren't actually good. They played nobody, and God knows TV wants them in the national title. It's the only way that happened. And Alabama boat raced them. I think this is actually the actual best Notre Dame team in a long time, since maybe the Brady Quinn days.
Yeah.
And I think they're ready to go out there and compete, and I think they can against Georgia. And something about this Georgia team, something about these SEC teams, really, where I don't know, maybe Texas is the outlier, but they all just seem kind of slow and flat to me compared to how they usually play. And I think this is the year for Notre Dame. I don't know about the year for them to win the title, but I think they're going to get that big win in a postseason, and I think it happens this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, in years past, plenty of years past, like I said, it was Georgia the past 5 years. It was like Alabama the previous 10 before that. Those two teams have felt almost invincible with the combined 15 years. They felt like they were just unbeatable. This year is a completely different story in the SEC, and I think Notre Dame wins.
So then that brings us to Wednesday, 5 p.m., the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, the Ohio State. I love that for the first time. Well, no, not for the first time, but I love that the Rose Bowl. I love these bowl games mean something and not arbitrarily. I love that the Rose Bowl just means something in this playoff for not for the first time, but it used to be just any year that it hosted a national championship. Otherwise, it was no different than the Outback Bowl, other than they called it a BCS Bowl. The Rose Bowl, Ohio State, Oregon, for a shot at the semifinals. Chad, how do you see this game going?
I mean, I'm in agreement with Bryant. The one thing that Ohio State can't do is get too big-headed. Is come into that game. It's just come into this game with any sense of cockiness. You come in with confidence, come in with swagger, but don't let that get to your head, because you need to play with that same chip, with that same motivation, with that same pissed off rage that boiled over against Tennessee over the last 2 weeks. You need to come in and play with that, because you're facing a much better Oregon team than Tennessee. Oregon is twice the team that Tennessee was.
Dude, there's no excuse. There's no excuse not to.
And there's no, well,
you lost Oregon, and everybody made fun of you for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no excuse.
Will Howard needs to have the game of his life in this game.
You can't avoid a letdown here if you're Ohio State. If you come in and you play with that same swagger, I mean, Will Howard was absolutely locked in against Tennessee.
Yes.
I mean, if he comes in with if they play the way they did against Oregon, there's not a team left in this bracket that can beat Ohio State. So
the way they did against Tennessee.
That's what I meant. What I said.
Yeah. You said Oregon.
Shit. Yeah, against Tennessee. There's not a team left in this bracket that can beat Ohio State. They just got to avoid that letdown, and I think Ohio State wins this one. Yeah, I mean, that score that Brian said sounds about right, 34-24.
That's what I thought. Listen, I don't want to take anything away from Oregon. I just look at what Oregon did to Ohio State in that game they played in Eugene. Oregon played damn near a perfect game offensively. They go for 500 yards offensively. Dylan Gabriel was damn near perfect. They ran the ball down Ohio State's throat. They don't turn the ball over at all. Ohio State turns it over twice. Like, they played damn near perfect football against Ohio State, and it took Ohio State making mistakes to beat them.
Yeah.
In Eugene, at Oregon.
Right.
I think Oregon's a really good team. I think Ohio State's a better team.
Right.
I also think Oregon is a more poised and I think their coach is more poised. I think their team is more poised. I think I'm not going to sit here and fall back on Oregon making mistakes. They don't make mistakes.
No, you got to go.
But God damn it, if Ohio State just doesn't make mistakes, they're going to win.
Right.
Just don't fumble the ball away to Oregon twice like you did the last time.
Stop. You got to get that one extra stop.
Yeah, and the defense.
Yeah.
We're talking about an Ohio State defense, and I know I brought it up against Bryant, but when we were with Bryant, we're talking about an Ohio State defense that hasn't allowed more than 17 points to any other team this entire season.
And they also haven't given up a passing touchdown since Oregon.
Right. So as long as that defense shows up and you don't make the stupid mistakes, you should beat Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, just the only other thing I have to add to that is you can't let Dylan Gabriel beat you with his feet.
Correct.
Either, right?
Well, he's gonna get some.
He's gonna get some, sure, but you can't let him run wild.
As like a Browns fan, Lamar Jackson's gonna get his, but you gotta make those like 3 or 4 stops against him during a game, and that's the difference. And that's the truth about any big-time football game. Those 3 or 4 plays that take it from Dylan Gabriel running for 100 yards or 40 yards, you got to make those plays. If Ohio State does it, they win. I think they are going to do it, and I think they are going to win by double digits. I do think this is a game that Ohio State is going to – I think they'll come out early like they did against Tennessee. I think Bryant's right. I love 10 days rest versus a month.
Yeah.
Because they're still rested.
The Wisconsin tape.
They're still rested.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think Ohio State comes out fast early. I think they build a lead early, and then I think they do what they did to Tennessee, and basically you weather a storm like they did against Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee, that second quarter was great for Tennessee. Yeah. Ohio State put it away in the third. I see this game going very similar to that.
Absolutely.
Maybe not quite, not 42-17, but like I see it going similar.
Sure.
So if Chad and I are right, after Wednesday night, we're going to be sitting here with Penn State Texas, Ohio State, and Notre Dame as your Final Four. That'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah.
That'd be a pretty awesome Final Four.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Ohio State would be gearing up for Texas in that next matchup.
Yeah.
And oh boy, what a game that would be.
Go to the old Cotton Bowl.
All right, Chad. I haven't even thought about this. You have an asshole of the week?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my dad.
Shit. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Pop. I have been a psycho workout guy my entire life, right? And I have him to blame for it. Mike, during that Bryant Browning interview when we played it back, you know what I did?
Oh.
You know what I did?
What?
I went and I did a 20-minute Tabata workout on the Peloton bike.
You sound dumb. You sound dumb right now.
Only me would do that. And I attribute it to my dad because you know why? He instilled that shit in me from the day one. You know what? When I got punished as a kid, I didn't get spanked. I didn't get grounded. I didn't get sent to my room. You know what I did? I had to run till I puked. I had to do wall sits for 10 minutes. I had to do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. I had to do all that with my punishment as a kid, and I just can't stop. I 42 years later, I have not been able to stop. And like if I'm inactive for more than a day, I start to get the shakes. And I'm like, I got to do something. So yeah, I went to a 20-minute workout. Thanks, Dad. Asshole, love you. But just, asshole, love you. You know it. You get it. You get it.
I love it. I didn't come into this with asshole of the week. To be honest with you, I just been a lot. There's just been a lot going on over the holidays, and I didn't feel like calling somebody an asshole this week. So I didn't even come in. Frankly, my next, our next segment is just going to be called, maybe I'll just call it my asshole of the week. It's just the next segment.
Oh, or we could call it things we don't give a fuck about.
I mean, I do give a fuck. I
don't care.
I don't give a fuck about the games anymore.
No. This season broke
Let's
me.
get into it. We're going to talk about the Browns.
This season broke me as a Browns fan. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like
It should have.
0-16 was so much easier to swallow than this.
Yeah, because Deshaun Kaiser was your quarterback.
And like seriously, and
we were still trying to talk ourselves into Corey Coleman.
Obviously, I still want the dome, but I've also done a 180 on it at the same time somehow. Because if you so go ahead and sign a fucking 75-year lease downtown on the lake for a winning team. I don't even care about a dome as opposed to having a winning team.
Well,
I don't give a shit about some brand new complex if you're just going to fuck it up like you have since 1999. I don't.
Yeah, listen. I think if you put that poll out to Browns fans, that would be the overwhelming response is, I don't give a fuck whether you play at Huntington Bank Field, the current stadium down on the shores of Lake Erie, or at the new Dome Stadium out in Brook Park or whatever. Wherever you can win. That's the only place I give a shit where they play. So I guess we start there with the Cleveland Browns. None of this conversation has to do with on the field.
Nope.
I don't care that they lost to the Dolphins. I wasn't embarrassed. I saw people going, can you believe they picked DTR over Huntley? What the fuck? Who cares? If your conversation is down to DTR or Huntley, your season is over, just like the Dolphins' season is over. Yeah. Like, unless Tua comes back and he's healthy, and unless Jalen Waddle is playing, and unless their defense is healthy, that Dolphins team is no good. If we're talking about Tua or Huntley, if we're talking about DTR or Huntley, nothing matters. I don't care that they lost to the Dolphins, and frankly, I would have been a little pissed if they won, because they have essentially locked themselves into a top 3 draft pick now. And damn it, if they don't have a shot at the number 1 pick, I don't care about what's going on the field. Yeah. So let's talk about all the off-the-field stuff.
Sure.
And let's talk about what everybody's been talking about in the comments so far, which is the big news of the day is that the city of Cleveland, our own Brad Stainbrook, posted the letter that the city, they sent him the letter. City of Cleveland sent a letter to the Browns, basically telling them that they are going to invoke the Modell Law. And it basically what it means is the Browns have a certain amount of time where they have to either recommit to the city of Cleveland, but if they're not going to do that, then they have to give the city of Cleveland 6 months to try to find a new ownership group. And if they do, and if the city of Cleveland were to find a new ownership group that were willing to pay a fair valuation for the team, the Haslams basically have to sell the team. I just want to say, I want to start by saying this, Chad, and I know you guys had a great conversation in the topics, and Tori was in it, and Gregory was in it, and you guys were awesome in the comments. This is posturing.
Yeah.
That's all this is. This is posturing because there is no legal precedent that the city of Cleveland is going to be able to invoke to not allow the Browns to move closer to their headquarters. There isn't going to be this legal precedent that they can invoke. The Cleveland Browns moving to Brook Park is an inevitability at this point. And the only way that changes is if the city of Cleveland matches what the Cleveland Browns are looking for in terms of either rebuilding or relocating within the city of Cleveland. But if the city of Cleveland is not willing to match what the Browns are kind of demanding in that circumstance, the Browns are going to move to Brook Park. And basically what's happening here is the people that work for the city of Cleveland, Justin Bibb and his crew, are basically just trying to save face.
Right.
Because they're not going to win that. They're not going to win that lawsuit. They're not going to win that argument. It's not even going to go to that point. They're going to just say, hey, listen, we tried our best. This is what they are doing. But I just, unless something weird happens or unless something changes, I just want to make this clear. The move to Brook Park is happening. Unless something very overly dramatic happens. And I don't think it's going to. I think the Browns are going to be playing in Brook Park in about 5 years.
Yeah. When's that lease up? 2028? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I don't understand what the big fight is anyway. Could they possibly sell the team and move them out of Ohio and then start over?
Oh, God. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be fucking awesome, man.
I would take that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who needs a team? Send these bitches to Utah.
I can't. I don't know.
Can you keep Myles Garrett?
Sure. Or just, I don't know. They're going to end up trading them away anyway. I don't know. I don't know. Part of that is I don't know where they go from here. But as far as the stadium goes, I think it's just the trickle down effect from how bad the season's been. I'm having a hard time getting emotionally invested in the posturing, like you said, the dick measuring, where we're going to invoke this Modell Law. No, we're going to Brook Park anyway. I do not care where they play. I do not care if they have to stay in downtown for another 10 years, or I do not care about this fight. I just don't. I think it's dumb anyway. I think it's dumb that the city is fighting it like it is because it's 10 days a year that they feel like they're gonna that they feel like it's somehow gonna just absolutely demolish the city financially, which is a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, total horseshit.
Which is a bunch of bullshit.
People are going to still come to games and stay in downtown anyways.
And I don't understand how it's going to affect the county even if they're staying in the fucking county. It does not make any sense. It's stupid. It's petty. Whatever it is, the Browns, all I know is the Browns are going to be downtown for the next 5 years, and we can worry about this in 5 years. That's all I know. We can worry about this when that lease is up. What's the point? Because you're still going to be going to the Muni lot and getting hammered before games for the next 5 years, and everybody's going to forget about it for like the next 3 until that 2 years comes where it's like, oh, okay, now what are we going to do?
I just don't. I love what you said, and I know we've said it here. If you're a business in downtown Cleveland and your business model depends on those 8 days or 9 days a year, you probably aren't a great business. Like you're probably not good. You're probably not doing great, anyways. And you're relying on people to show up to West 6th Street or whatever, which they will do anyways.
Right.
Yeah, and like Gregory, like you are already failing. This is my, well, I have this argument on several other things, but we won't go there. But like, a restaurant? What restaurant is getting busy because the Browns are down there?
Yeah.
Who's going to eat? Everybody's going to drink and then go home. And I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's a fucking nightmare down there. It's a fucking nightmare. I went to a goddamn preseason game and I had to wait 3 hours to get an Uber to come home because I went with buddies and I didn't want to drink and drive. Yeah. It's not my thing. So I Ubered down there thinking I'll do the responsible thing. And then I had to wait 3 fucking hours for a preseason game to get an Uber out of downtown because it is a terrible location for a stadium.
Right.
And because the accessibility of the stadium sucks a butt.
Yeah, whole butt.
It's hard to get in. It's hard to get out. It's hard to park. It's hard to do everything. Everything about where the location is right now sucks, other than it's pretty on TV.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's my biggest thing for moving to Brook Park. Yeah. I like the idea of the dome anyways. Everybody's like, oh, but remember that game they played in the snow? I don't give a shit.
Right.
You're telling me that I could just jump on 480 or 71 or wherever, like, I could jump on about 4 different highways and be out of there in like 7 minutes.
Right.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
And you just have to go like from the parking lot, just on a walkway to the stadium. Like all you're doing is changing the place you get hammered at. And literally the stadium will be right there.
Correct. Now, I do think there were Pat Shea says, Mike, how do you really feel? Oh, I don't ever feel bad sharing my opinions, Pat Shayaka. I do think there are problems. They were talking about in the comments earlier, and I wish I would have saved it. But like, and I think it was Gregory even. They released like what they think the ticket prices are going to be. It's like double. Yeah, it was Gregory. Here, some of the projected season ticket prices were like double.
Yeah.
That's brutal. That's a shitty. You should expect them to go up a little bit, but like some of the I've seen some of the prices. It's wild.
Yeah.
That can't happen. That shouldn't happen. But like go build this stadium that you want to build and get people coming to the games. And I don't know, this whole city of Cleveland versus the Browns, it's all stupid. We already all lived through this. If you're old enough to have lived through the Browns moving to Baltimore, we've already lived through this stupid shit.
Right. And they're not going away.
It's the same goddamn thing we already lived through.
Yeah. They're not going away, though. That's the difference. They're not going away.
Yeah, and they're going to be here.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're going to be here. They're going to be in Cleveland. They're just going to be in Brook Park, which is fucking easier to get to.
Right.
All right, so that's the big topic today is that the city of Cleveland basically served notice that they're going to invoke the Modell rule, which is going to get struck down in court anyways because of how much money Jimmy Haslam is putting into moving anyways. And so it's all posturing. It's all fucking posturing, and none of it's going to matter. What else happened today? Mike Vrabel is being released from his contract with the Browns. I don't know why this is news.
Good, bud.
Is there anybody that thought Mike Vrabel was going to be here for more than a year?
Everybody, a majority of Browns fans thought he was a legitimate candidate. That's at least what I saw online.
That's dumb. That's really dumb.
Yeah, super dumb.
This was always the plan with Mike Vrabel. He was going to come in. He was going to serve as his special counsel position, whatever it was. And then after this year, he was going to go try to find another head coaching job.
Right.
No, did people really think differently?
Yes, they thought he was a legitimate candidate. Yes,
that's really stupid. That's dumb. That was never, ever going to be the case.
If Kevin Stefanski wasn't the 2-time Coach of the Year, I think it could have been a discussion. But no.
This was a simple thing. And I saw somebody online, I don't remember who it was. I saw somebody online put up a Mike Vrabel appreciation post. For fucking what? What's everybody all worked up about? He contributed to the 3-win season that you're going to finish with?
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Oh, God, we love you. Thank you for being here. Geez, some of the bootlicking out of fans is wild.
Browns, go with the Buckeyes. If you're not with the Browns, be the next coach of the Buckeyes. Shut up.
Yeah, but he played for Ohio State, so we have to love him. No, we don't. And I don't dislike Mike Vrabel at all. I think Mike Vrabel's great. I love him. I'd be fine if he was the coach of the Browns. But, like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Do you think Mike Vrabel, do you think this Browns team this year, would have been a 10-win team because Mike Vrabel was the coach? He was already a coach on the team. What am I missing, Chad? What am I missing?
About what? Nothing at all. Because it's mostly Stefanski haters that wanted Stefanski fired after this year. That was why they thought Mike Vrabel was a legitimate candidate for this job.
What would you call me, Chad? What would you call me in terms of Kevin Stefanski? Well, how would you say I approach my Kevin Stefanski?
Oh, you love that fella. You would give him a hug right around his waist if you could.
Ooh. All of a sudden, my loins started bubbling again.
You would give him you would slow dance like you were in middle school.
Ooh.
Hey-o.
If they announced after the season that Kevin Stefanski is fired after this year, I'll get it.
Yep.
I don't want them to do that. I love Kevin Stefanski. I love him. I think he is a very much an ideal head coach. But if they announce that he's fired after this bullshit that they've been through, am I going to be mad? Nope.
Yeah.
I love Andrew Berry. Oh, God, I think people are so stupid in their opinions with Andrew Berry. I think people are so stupid with their opinions on him. But if they announced after this season that they fired Andrew Berry, am I gonna be like, oh my God, how could you? No.
Right.
Sometimes results earn results. Sometimes results earn actions.
Yeah.
And the results of this year have earned, you can't be mad.
No, this is a fireable year.
Oh, for everybody.
For everybody.
For everybody. I don't want them to, but it is.
Yeah.
But man, we're again, Mike Vrabel was a part of it. Like, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
He was the coach on this team.
Right.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
He's not the answer. He's not some unlock. You want to know what the unlock answer is? I love this. The unlock answer is you need a quarterback that doesn't suck, and you need a kicker that can make kicks. Boom. There you go. All of a sudden, the Browns are going to win 11 games again next year.
Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying? I mean, there's a lot of other stuff to do, but those are the two main points. Those are the two main
Man,
it's really just the quarterback. Let's fucking be honest.
It is.
I mean, everybody wants to talk about. I mean, obviously, I know that the salary cap experts see all the money that the Browns are going to have to spend over the next few years because the salary cap maneuvering that Andrew Berry does. He's a genius with that, and he's going to have all this money. But you know what? None of it matters unless they get the quarterback right.
That's right.
None of it matters.
It's right.
So I don't know what they're going to do with it next year, but I don't have any faith. All I know is I'm never, ever, 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 ever getting my hopes up about this team ever again.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. We do that. We do the schedule game next year, and they are 6-10 at best.
Ever.
I don't give a fuck who they bring in.
It's just, oh God, I can't. the expectations with this year combined with the players going at the fans and like this was the worst season out of any Browns losing season ever since 1999.
Combined with and again, I'm not going to say a bad thing because I'm so happy for him. But combined with Baker Mayfield being a 4,000-yard like franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
His team is going to get ousted in the first round of the playoffs. But like combined with all of it. I mean all of it.
Yeah.
Just a horrible year. Horrible year. Since 1990, think about where we're at, Chad. You just said it. Since 1999, this is easily a bottom 3 year to be a Browns fan. Easily. Think about what that means.
I know. And I just
can I get Jake Delhomme and Peyton Hillis back?
I would take them over anything.
Easily.
And that happened this year. I would take
God.
Whedon and Josh Gordon.
Oh my God, just launching balls.
I would take Jeff Garcia and Andre Davis.
Jeff Garcia could probably quarterback this team to the playoffs at this age.
Yeah. I would give me all of those guys. All of them.
Dude.
Give me Earl Holmes manning the middle of the field.
Yes.
Like,
where's Jameer Miller at when you need him?
Please.
Where's our buddy Wally Rayner?
He's there. Dude looks like he can still play.
I know. We've had him on the show. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we all get distracted. We all get distracted by all this bullshit from the fact that this team hasn't given us 1% of what we have given them.
Right. Ever.
Stadiums, who gives a fuck? Coaches, who gives a fuck? GMs, who gives a fuck? The draft, who gives a fuck?
Right.
In the end, this team hasn't given us 1% of what we have given them.
Nope.
For 25 years.
I know.
For 25 years. Not 1%. It's a joke. Yeah. It's a disaster. Of the Cleveland team, I mean, I got the Cavs on right here. They're in a locked up matchup with the Warriors. Between the Cavs and the Guardians and the Browns, man, ship them back out of town.
Seriously.
Ship them back out.
I don't want to not have football here, but I would gladly lose them and make them come back again. This time with enough time, NFL, and get us a new team. I can't. This place is cursed when it comes to football. I'm not a big conspiracy theory curse guy.
It's impossible to be as bad as they've been for as long as they've been.
It is.
It's impossible.
It really is.
Any idiot could go put out a decent season every now and then.
And every time they bring us up, they put us right back down to shitter.
Yep.
And I'm done with it, man. I'm never not going to be a Browns fan. I'm not rescinding my fandom at all.
Never.
You know, and I'll still watch the games come next season. But I am never, ever, ever getting jacked up about a Browns season ever again.
Nah. The people I feel the worst for, fans, number one, outrageous.
Yeah.
Players, number two.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this thing, like the players and the fans should just be on the same page. They're getting fucked over. We're getting fucked over. Yeah. So lots of Browns news.
Don't believe me, the Browns were good ones. Like I told him, I was like, your dad was the last generation of people who remember when the Browns were actually good. And they were like, no, they weren't. I was like, no, trust me. No, they refused to believe me.
So Chad, here's the last question before we get off the Browns.
Yeah.
The Browns are going to have a top 3 pick in the draft.
Yep.
There's a chance they get the number 1 pick. But in reality, it's going to be a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
What do we want to see the Browns do with that pick?
I think they get to number 2. I mean, the Eagles are going to be sitting everybody next week, and the Giants could beat them. But
we're also we're also talking about the Bills and the Jets or the Patriots.
Yeah.
Bills are going to be sitting everybody.
Yep.
They got nothing to play for.
What do I want to see?
The Ravens could sit everybody and play their moms, and they're going to beat the Browns.
Well, they haven't clinched the division, so they need to win the game.
So the thing is, there's a shot that you're going to get either.
Yeah, I know.
Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, or Travis Howard. Those are the three guys that should. One of those guys will be on the board.
Well, yeah, I would say one of those three guys will be on the board. Who would I rather have? I think I'd rather have Travis Hunter out of all of those guys.
Did I say Travis Howard? I'm stupid.
Yeah,
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have Travis Hunter out of all of those guys. I do not have faith in Shedeur or Cam as far from a franchise quarterback standpoint. They're the best quarterbacks of this draft. But do I think they're guys, they're franchise-changing quarterbacks? No, I don't. I just don't. I think Shedeur, he didn't cower, but he did not. He regressed when he played elite competition, when he played better competition in his college years. And then Cam Ward is intriguing because I can't figure him out. Like, I can't figure out whether he's actually fucking lazy or he's just that calm, cool, and collected when he's out there.
I love him. I love
it that he plays so relaxed. But if you're asking me who would I rather have out of the two, I'd rather have Cam Ward. But yeah, but him or Travis Hunter, I guess. I mean, you have to go with one of those three.
Listen, I'm not
Carter, sure. If we weren't in position to take Shedeur, Cam, or Travis Hunter, yeah, I would gladly take Abdul Carter outside of that too. And they may even take Abdul Carter. Who knows?
I'm not sure what your most unpopular NFL opinion is or draft opinion is, but for me, knowing where they're going to be and what options they're going to have,
yeah,
in my opinion, give me Travis Hunter, round one. I just think he's a guy you can build a franchise around.
I think he can too.
And I think he's a rare guy that you can do that at a position that's not a quarterback.
Right.
Give me, well, I don't know that there's been decisions made on a lot of guys.
Sure.
But goddamn, if Quinn Ewers comes out, give me him in the top of the second round. And let's win a ton of games.
Yeah.
Go find a bridge guy. Get Quinn. I watch Quinn Ewers play football, and I think, man, that's an NFL quarterback.
Sure.
He's not great. He's not the best in college. I'll take Quinn Ewers in the top of the second round. Give me Travis Hunter to start the draft. Give me those two guys, and we're gonna be a playoff team forever. I think Quinn Ewers is going to be a great pro quarterback. Okay. I think he's going to be great.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it.
That's what I want. That's what I want.
Okay, sure. I don't think I've quite figured out my draft takes yet, but I definitely want Travis Hunter if we're in position to draft.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah. I don't know. I
don't know.
The jury's still out for me on Ewers, but
I know. I know it is for a lot of people. I think some guys you have to do the eye test on.
Sure.
And I watch this dude throw from every angle and make these wild completions on these passes that have no business being completed. And I think that guy is built to be a pro quarterback.
Sure.
That's how I feel about him.
Sure.
So
yeah, I feel that way about Cam Ward when I watch him play. But I just
Cam Ward I wouldn't be mad about. The downside, like for me, is you're gonna have to get him in the top three.
Sure.
Right? Like
you'll be in.
Would I be but for me, would I be more excited about Hunter and Ewers or Cam Ward and then maybe an offensive lineman at the top of the second? They'd probably both be great options.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what they do there, though, too, because they're going to realistically they're going to have to rebuild that offensive line this offseason.
100%.
So,
all right, man. Let's not even go into anything else. Let's just end it here.
Okay.
Let's do our cheers of the week, and let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we get out here tonight?
No, man. Nope. I'm good.
All right.
I mean, like, you know, obviously we could talk Cavs, but what more can you say about the season that they're having?
Well, right now they're at the half in Golden State, and Golden State came out and kind of punched the Cavs in the mouth to start the game. And the Cavs are going into halftime with an 8-point lead.
Right.
So I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my cheer of the week. My cheer of the week is my son, Patrick. Because every year we give him a little budget at school because they do like the school Christmas gifts thing that all of our kids do.
Yeah.
Look at that. All pro dad.
It's amazing.
All pro dad.
It's amazing.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
It's Patty gets my cheer of the week because this trophy, I don't think you realize it when you're a kid, but I'm going to keep this. I think I'm going to keep it forever.
Right. Yeah.
He gave this to me and I was just like, it's there, right there forever.
Right.
I love it. So shout out to Patty. That's my cheer.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll shout out my kids too. Fletch got me a mini pool table.
Yes.
And Hayes got me my own coffee mug, like Dad, zap, zoom, pow, wow. Like got me like a coffee mug, Dad mug. And then other cheers goes to everybody, all of you. Happy 2025, people.
Yeah. Here's to another great year of Garage Beers. We're going to be with you the whole way through, and we appreciate you big time. Happy New Year's to all of you. That's going to do it for us on episode 244. Big thank you goes out to our special guest, Bryant Browning, former Buckeye, current host of the Believe in Buckeyes show. Brian Browning is the best. Go follow him at BR_Browning and follow the show at Believe in Buckeyes. Can't wait to watch the Rose Bowl on Wednesday. Next thank you goes out to the OBR for hosting us, the Orange and Brown Report, the best place for Browns coverage. Thank God we're winding down the goddamn regular season, and now we get to get into the fun stuff because this has been anything but. But make sure you are tuned into the OBR for everything Browns related, and then hang out with us for Buckeyes and Cavs and Guardians and all that too. And our last thank you, and again, as Chad said, our biggest thank you goes out to all of you. Everybody that joins us live, you guys were awesome in the comments tonight. Or if you didn't make it live tonight because we know we came on late and it's Monday, but whether you get us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeart, whether you watch us later on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, we appreciate you. We love you. And we couldn't do it without the support that you guys all give us. Why does it look like you're going to say something?
Josh Dobbs has just entered the Monday Night Football game. So
that's cool.
49ers comeback is in the works.
It's in the works. All right, that's going to do it. I know he wasn't here, but Joey at Joey Whalen, runner-up of the Fantasy League, for the champion of the Fantasy League, Chad Meyer at Garage Beers. Chad, and for me, the champion of the OBR Fantasy League.
Oh,
I did win that championship.
What do you win for that?
Nothing.
Okay.
But I came in 11th place in my own league, but I won the OBR League. So 2 champions on tonight.
Let's go.
Hey, listen, it's been fun. It's been another great year, and we can't wait to see you. First week of 2025, we'll be here. You'll be here, and we love seeing you there. That's going to do it for us. Until then, cheers, and we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.